Welcome to the Big 12 on ESPN. From the Farrell Center in Waco, Texas on this sunny Saturday. And it's making their way inside as the Oklahoma State Cowboys take on the Baylor Bears. Along with former Army guard Chris Spatola, I'm Mark Neely. Chris, just how tough is the Big 12? Well, the preseason pick to win the Big 12, Baylor, just won their first conference game on Wednesday in Morgantown, and freshman Keontae George went off for 32 points.
Yeah, in this league, most freshmen disappear, Mark, when league play starts. Keontae George has gotten better. He is a terrific talent. Could play at all three of the levels, could knock down the threes, really driving the basketball better, get himself to the foul line, taking over 12 free throws a game in league play. What a talent he is. He has really leveled up.
Well, for Oklahoma State, Moussa Cisse suffered a high left ankle sprain 12 days ago. He's dressed out, but not expected to play again today. So that'll be 3 consecutive games without Cisse. That puts more onus once again on Caleb Boone, who to this point, for the 2 games in the absence of Cisse, has stepped up his game.
He really has. He's their leading scorer in Big 12 play, and he's kind of back to that 5 position that he's played most of his career at Oklahoma State. Doing a nice job scoring the basketball. His job on the glass, Mark, he's had to be much more valuable there, which he has done. He has another guy who has leveled up his game in the absence of Cisse.
It's a crazy Big 12 this year. Kansas, just a few moments ago, hung on for a 2-point win over Iowa State. They were both unbeaten in conference play coming in. K-State also lost for the first time in conference. I tell you what, it is a slugfest every day, every night in this conference. Baylor wearing gray, Oklahoma State in orange, and it's the Bears with the game's first possession. Cryer, 3 on the way.
And that was a scripted first play. You get L.J. Cryer coming off of that baseline. Nice shot, shooting it as he turns, and Bryce Thompson, the guy that I think they want to go to on this first possession.
3rd straight start for Tyreek Smith for Oklahoma State in the absence of Cisse. Five on the shot clock. Anderson off the left side.
Guy who really has not shot it well, man. Nice pass.
And Jalen Bridges, who had a great night, going back to Morgantown on Wednesday, his first bucket.
And a really nice find. You know, scoring early, I think, for Baylor, they want this high possession. This Oklahoma State team can really struggle to score, particularly in the half court. Just haven't shot it well, Mark. Those 3 guards especially.
And John Michael Wright off with a 3, so their first 2 misses have both come from the guard spot. Here's the impressive freshman, Keontae George. Cryer, another 3.
Baylor leads the Big 12 in number of threes taken and number of threes made. Adam Flagler, Keontae George have made the most threes in the Big 12. 1-2 in the league. They are a volume 3-point shooting team. If you're Oklahoma State, it starts with running those guards off the 3-point line.
They look to double Boone. He passes out of it to Wright. Anderson, 3 to shoot. Long 3 right. That's well short and out of bounds. And a terrible start for the Cowboys.
And conversely, a great start for Baylor. Gotten the looks that they want. And if they're making threes, they become so much better. You have got to take Baylor off the 3-point line.
A foul, Thamba, to prevent him from flushing that one home. Tyreek Smith picks up the first foul. Just at a blink of an eye, Baylor jumps out to an 8-0 lead. Head coach Scott Drew, season 20. His has been the Big 12 Coach of the Year last 3 seasons, 2021 and 22.
Well, this is the other thing they've done really well, Mark, in league play is get to the foul line. They're plus 26 in free throws made in their four league games. And, you know, for a team that has not been quite what we expect of Baylor defensively, a team that has struggled with turnovers, you know, Keontae George's play, the ability to make threes, and then getting to the foul line has really, you know, really supplemented them. It certainly did in that West Virginia win the other day.
And Thamba hit only 56% from the line, knocks down the last free throw, and it's a 10-0 start. It's kind of weird to say, Chris, but we're here just a handful of possessions into the game, and this is already a big one for the Cowboys.
It is.
Bryce Thompson, 3. In and out. Tipped around, saved momentarily. Woody Newton, who checked into the game for the Cowboys, touched it last, and another empty possession for the Pokes.
They're not going to win a three-point shooting contest, and those are the looks they've taken early, Mark. They've got to play inside out. Either feeding the post, feeding the block to Caleb Boone, or trying to drive the basketball.
It's a moving screen on Thamba. Season 6 as the head coach for Mike Boynton, whose team has been great defensively, but as you mentioned, it's been trying to find that consistent offense.
Well, and not having Moussa Cisse is tough on a number of levels. And really on the offensive side, you know, his ability to offensive rebound, the gravity of him rim running, and that lob threat, you take it out of this offense, it becomes a lot harder to score.
George went for the steal, loose ball. That's grabbed by Flagler, possession arrow. He's going to keep it with the Pokes. Well, the shooting from the guards for Oklahoma State last few games has not been good, and maybe there's an indirect correlation there in the absence of Cisse.
I think there is. I think so much of shooting is selection. Who's taking the shot and what kind of a shot is it? And I think this team at times, particularly on the perimeter, can struggle with that. This guy with the ball, Bryce Thompson, has really been the one guy who has carried them from the perimeter.
Newton misses a 3. Well, that's an 0 for 4 start from beyond the arc for OSU, and 4 of their 5 shots have been three-point attempts. And that's going to be a foul on the floor there. Bryce Thompson picks up the foul. Is it just me, or has Baylor kind of picked things up defensively to start this game?
Well, they've done a nice job on the ball. They've done a nice job guarding some of those crossing actions, the pin downs that Oklahoma State runs. Oklahoma State's had a couple open looks, though.
A 3 from Bridges. And the Bears have now scored the first 13.
It's also been an onslaught to start this game.
Offensive foul on Bryce Thompson. And we come to a timeout. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball.
Transition defense, and their turnovers have put a lot of pressure on their defense. They've been high turnover. But I think you hit it. Like, you go back to that team that won a national championship, Mark. They had 2 super alphas on defense in Davion Mitchell and Mark Vidal. And by the way, Jared Butler and Maceo T could get after you as well. I think this perimeter in particular, they lean in offensively. They are offensive players, and they just don't have quite the defensive DNA that those, you know, obviously that national title team had.
There's the first missed shot of the game for Baylor. 3 missed by Cryer. This 13-point deficit is the largest for any Big 12 game so far for Oklahoma State. Anderson getting to the rim to lay it in, able to trim that down to 11.
And that's what you got to do. I mean, clearly Mike Boynton during the timeout, let's drive the basketball. We've settled early in this game.
So the first 5 possessions, all empty possessions for Oklahoma State, and an 0 for 5 start. Flagler, tough shot, kicks off the heel, rebound is run down by Caleb Asbury, who's checked into the game for the Pokes. Catch and shoot 3 off the heel from John Michael Wright. Thamba outlets, and here comes Bridges. Flagler.
Can't be that far off. You know, again, they are a volume three-point shooting team. It starts with running Adam Flagler off the three-point line. He's making over 3 threes a game. You've got to know your personnel if you're John Michael Wright. You cannot be that far off of him.
It's a 3. Woody Newton. Offensive rebound. Tyreek Smith keeps the possession alive, and Asbury 3. Good.
And that's one of the guys who has made threes. And he's 17 of his 22 shots in Big 12 play are three-point shots.
Asbury had a season-high 15 points in the loss at K-State on Tuesday and came off the bench but played 27 minutes. Flagler is fouled.
That 3 that Adam Flagler takes, you cannot, when he gives up the ball, you have got to stay home. John Michael Wright he's in no man's land. Adam Flagler shooting 47% from 3. He shoots better from 3 than he does from the field. He's making over 3 of those a game. He's been their most consistent player. You know, they are shooting 45% of Baylor shots on the year, Mark. Almost half of their shots are from 3. And I just think defensively, when you're game planning to play them, it starts with running them off that line.
Flagler, an 80% foul shooter, misses the first. Here come several subs. Dale Bonner into the game. Langston Love also checks in along with freshman Josh Anjanwuma. Flagler splits the pair. Caleb Boone's going to check back in for the Cowboys, taking Smith's spot on the floor. Well, no question, Oklahoma State took a haymaker here early in this game. Can they get off the mat? There's plenty of time, obviously.
As the great philosopher Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the face.
Asbury well short with that 3. Rebound, I think, went off Thamba and did. A punch has a way of making you forget a lot of best laid plans.
Yeah.
Well, this floor has good memories a year ago for Oklahoma State when they beat then #1 Baylor just about exactly a year ago. Nice offense there, run to get it to Newton down low for the lay-in.
They can score inside. Their front line can have success.
And they get a steal. Newton trying to reverse it, but Bridges knocked it off the head of Newton as he was out of bounds, and it's Baylor ball.
Nice defensive play in transition. Again, transition defense has been a problem for Baylor. And if you're Woody Newton, this is soft. Like, you got to go at this to finish hard. That's a soft take. But transition D is really what killed Baylor in that TCU game in the second half.
Yeah, Baylor trying to avoid 3 straight home losses since they've lost their last 2 home games by a combined 3 points, and they turn it over again for a second straight time and 3rd time today.
And that's what killed them, again, in that TCU game and in the Iowa State game. Now, in the Iowa State game, they had no L.J. Cryer, which is obviously going to affect your ball handling. But it's been an interesting look. You know, turnovers kind of being a little bit of an Achilles heel for a Baylor team that, Scott Drew saying today, it's gotten better, but we still need to improve in that area.
They got a moving screen on Boone. That's the call. And that's 2 on Caleb Boone. So this is a team already without Cisse. And now Boone just picked up his 2nd. Well, a women's basketball matinee doubleheader coming up And tomorrow in the app. Tell you more about South Carolina, Mizzou. And they have North Carolina State and North Carolina for Carmichael. Great afternoon of women's hoops coming up tomorrow. Got Caleb Lohner in the game for Baylor. What a block. Asbury blocks, takes it away, takes it to the rim. And what a sequence there for Caleb Asbury.
And Oklahoma State shifted to a 2-3 zone. And what a...
So Baylor led 13-0 to start the game. Now it's down to 8. 5 to shoot. Love barely grazed the rim. Cowboys with a chance here with a bucket to make this a 2-possession game. And Asbury, very quick and deep three. Not there.
It's not a good shot. It's quick, and you can get a better one than that. You could shoot that late in the shot clock.
Trying to redeem himself. Takes a charge. It's going to be Oklahoma State ball after the timeout.
They have been one of the best defensive teams in this league, Oklahoma State. And it helps when you can use that defense to score in the open floor. Get something at the rim.
It's exactly a year ago. Baylor was in their 5th consecutive week as the #1 team in the nation. They had lost to Texas Tech earlier in the week. And on that Saturday, Oklahoma State, Bryce Thompson had a great game, finished with 19. In fact, Thompson scored the last 6 points of the game. And Oklahoma State, which led most of the way, won it, beating a #1 team for the first time in their school history. And that's a year ago tomorrow. That was back-to-back losses for Baylor. Those were the only 2 home games they lost last year. Texas Tech and Oklahoma State back-to-back.
The orange uniforms that night gave them a lot more juice than they've had to start this game, Mark.
And Chris, if you think it's a coincidence that they're wearing orange again this year, it's not. There's such a thing as superstition. 3 off the bench, Keon Williams. And this is an Oklahoma State team that missed shots since then. They've hit 5 of their last 10 and gotten back in the game.
It was a real squeeze for me to get my orange pun in.
A second time.
Are you concentrating?
I don't think I can take much more. Cryer, short. Batted around into the hands of Smith. Cowboys showing some life. Getting off the deck. Asbury 3. And wow, Baylor timeout. What was a 13-point lead to start the game for Baylor, down to 2. Timeout, Pokes in Waco.
Caleb Asbury, 2-time All-Sun Belt, the transfer from Texas State. He shot it well in Big 12 plays, shooting 41% from 3. He's kind of an irrational confidence guy, the redshirt senior. He's only shooting 36% from there in the year. And you kind of have to live with some bad shots. He took the deep shot earlier that was quick into the possession, not a good shot. Got another quick one there, but he can really get it going. And like we said, on a team that has not shot it well from 3, he has been a consistent guy from that line.
13 of Oklahoma State's 15 points have come from players off the bench, highlighted by Asbury's 8. Get him back in the game. There's nice defensive play by Asbury once again. 3, quick shot is well off the left side, and just when you think Oklahoma State's getting it together, and then another quick early shot. That one from Williams. John Wuna hands it off. Cryer looking back at him. Keontae. Long rebound. John Wuna with the right hand, and it falls off. Staying with the Bears. Our Big 12 SEC Super Tuesday doubleheader. The Sunflower Showdown in Manhattan. Number 2 Kansas taking on number 11 K-State. KU won today. K-State a loser. That's at 7 Eastern. Then Oscar Tshiebwe and Kentucky. They hold and the app. So Kansas is now the lone unbeaten in conference play after barely getting by previously unbeaten in conference Iowa State at Allen Fieldhouse.
You know, it's interesting. Grady Dick has come back down to earth a little bit. I didn't see his numbers today. You know, how freshmen react as Flagler knocks down another one, another three. I guess it was a two. You know, it's interesting how freshmen react when you get into Big 12 play. Keontae George has certainly taken his game to another level.
Just one shot so far from the field for George. Here's an Asbury three, up and around and out. Cryer defended by Keon Williams. Screen Thamba, he rolls, gets it. And then coming over late, Chris Harris is going to pick up the foul to prevent Thamba taking that to the rim.
They are so good at that. You know, just down through the ages here over the last few years, those guards are so good at finding that. And those bigs, you know, the quick bump up there on that high screen, and they roll right to the front of the rim. And that was not an easy catch on a little skipping bounce pass.
Flown out 2 of 3 from the line so far today. Did quite a bit of damage from the foul line. It's K-State. He went 6 of 8. This season at 14 points. And that OT loss to the Wildcats. K-State lost today at TCU. They were one of the other 3 unbeatens that started the day in conference play in the Big 12. Slipping Woody Newton. And a Cowboy turnover. Their third. Oklahoma State had taken an early 13-point deficit down to 2. Baylor has bumped that back up to 7 with 8.5 minutes to go in this first half in Waco. Catch and shoot, Bridges. Folks will set up the offense with Avery Anderson the third. Caleb Boone on the bench with 2 fouls for Oklahoma State. Anderson, step back, got it.
Shot. And it was a good possession, Mark. You know, you pushed early. Oklahoma State can score in transition, but if you don't have it, force Baylor to have to play some defense. And a nice little step back. You see if that gets Avery Anderson going. Nice shot there in the mid-range.
4 points for Avery, who was held scoreless in the loss in the last game.
And that's where Jalen Bridges has really been effective. You know, he hasn't shot it well, but he's done a nice job on the glass, particularly with Big 12 play.
Anderson. Come to a timeout as they slip under the 7.5-minute mark. Cowboys sustained an early blow. Baylor's bumped it back up to a 6-point lead. Well, Baylor has a 7-point lead, Chris. The 3-point shooting, as you mentioned at the top of the show, has been a big part of their arsenal, and that's once again the case here today.
Yeah, they make the most in Big 12 play. Adam Flagler, Keontae George are 1 and 2 in the league and made threes. And you look, over the last few years, Mark, Scott Drew has given his guards ultimate freedom within the offense when they improvise. I mean, they are terrific and allowed to take those types of shots from that 3-point line. They do it off of the bounce. I mean, they are really tough to guard. And again, a lot of it stemming from just that ultimate freedom they have, that green light he gives his guards to take that shot.
Cryer and Flagler each have hit 2 threes. Bridges has hit 1 as well for the 5 made so far today by the Bears, and Flagler at the line. It's the front end of the 1-and-1 after the 7th Oklahoma State team foul. Baylor sits beginning the game on a 13-0 run. 3 of 13 from the field, while OSU sits 7 of their last 15 shots. And at one time got it down to a 2-point game. But Flagler able to get that second one to go as well. Smith looking for Anderson instead. Bryce Thompson from near the right elbow, in and out. Just his second shot attempt of the game for Bryce Thompson.
But that shot by Thompson is a good shot. You know, it's a quality shot that just doesn't go in. But you forced, the ball saw a couple sides of the floor. You forced Baylor to have to guard.
Bryce just picked up his second foul. So you already have Caleb Boone on the bench with 2 fouls for the Cowboys. And that's going to bring John Michael Wright off the bench to take Thompson's spot.
And already, Mark, the foul line having a real impact on this game. It's been the other area outside of the three-point shooting. That free throw advantage they've had in league play has really supplemented their offense.
Thamba staying hot from the line. Again, a guy that came in at 56% from the stripe on the year. A perfect 6 of 6.
And back in the zone. So a press off of the last free throw trip. And now back in the zone off of the free throw.
Off of Cryer. Cryer saying it was last touched by Wright, but it's going to stay with the Cowboys.
Seeing Scott Drew playing a little bit of zone here of late. Trying to find something that unlocks the defensive key. Haven't seen it as much over the last couple years.
Anderson has to go deep into the backcourt. Shot clock's at 7. Tough shot for Anderson. Tried to kiss it. Smith can't come up with it. And here comes Cryer. George, floater. Took some contact, too strong. Loose ball picked up by Bridges. Just flips it back. Nobody home there for Baylor. Asbury feeds Anderson to lay it in. And Cowboys with some points in transition cut it down to 28-19. George going to shoot over that zone and knock down his first shot of the game.
You have to play a zone. You can't just be in a zone. I mean, that is just too much freedom, too much space for a guy who has shot the ball well from there.
Coming off a career-high 32 at Morgantown on Wednesday night. Williams. A skip pass. And 3 seconds in the lane called against Smith.
Yeah, I think Mike Boynton going to a little bit of zone, probably to, again, because of the foul trouble. But this is just too easy. Just one ball reversal, and look how open Keontae George is. And not really a sense of urgency from John Michael Wright to get over there and contest.
One dribble, Bridges out, Cryer's three's on the way. Another open look for the Baylor Bears. Timeout, Cowboys. Big games, big events continue to highlight our January calendar. The Spanish Super Cup final, another El Clasico is Sunday tomorrow, and then Monday night, the wild card playoff game. Cowboys taking on Tom Brady and the Bucs, and then UFC 283 Saturday, the 21st of January. A little bit of everything this month on ESPN, ABC, Deportes, and ESPN+. Last few possessions for Baylor. Oklahoma State's defense has now responded. They've given up several easy looks from beyond the arc.
And the last one was more open than the George three. And another change of defense here from Scott Drew.
This lead of 15, now the largest of the game for Baylor, who opened the game scoring The first 13 points. 3, Anderson left it short off Flagler and out of bounds to OSU.
You know, Avery Anderson came into this game 0 for 10 from 3 in his 4 Big 12 games. It's a guy who shot it, not a great number last year, but he did shoot it 32% from 3 last season, and he's an 86% foul shooter. It's hard to reconcile why he has shot it so poorly from 3.
Right, tied up. Or they're going to call a foul. Keith Kimball's going to decide that is a foul. So Flagler thought he had this tied up. Instead, he's called for the foul.
Oh, and Thamba fouled Michael right before he got into the lane.
There's some successful drives to the rim this first half.
When they've attacked the paint, Mark, they've been able to score.
I guess the question from the Pokes fans is, why haven't they done it more? George from 14. Thamba thought he had the rebound, but Anderson just took it right away. Here comes Avery, kicks it to the corner, 3 from right. Long rebound, Smith. Tyreek, one dribble and a stuff.
You know, I really like Tyreek Smith. He does what's needed. You know, he started the year, he was a backup big. He embraces his role. He appreciates his role. Just a dirty work guy who does his job.
Making his 3rd consecutive start today in the absence of Cisse. They hope to have Musa back Wednesday in the Bedlam game against the Sooners. Kind of out of control. And Williams eventually does lose it. Flagler gets it back from Bridges. Offensive foul. They're calling that on Thamba again. Second one of those in this first half. 3:13 to play. 34-23. Baylor by 11.
There, that's John Crispin. I'm Dallin Cuff. Coming up at halftime. Blue Bloods in action. Kansas ground to the wire with Iowa State. Kentucky continues to surprise us, but this time in a positive way. Baylor up 11 here. What do you see?
First, I appreciate you going with a hello there. That's good safe one. But look, what I'm seeing is a Baylor team that knows how to get ahead. But the difference between this team and years past is that those teams knew how to stay ahead, to keep a team down. That's going to be the next level of Baylor. But you look at the standings in the Big 12 and how good Baylor is, it just tells you how good the Big 12 is.
Best conference in the country. We all know that. Back to Mark and the captain of puns. He's so funny. Chris Matola.
Down with John. Thanks very much. Is that an official moniker of yours?
It is official. It's going on a T-shirt for my NIL deal. Thank you, Dallin Cuff. Of course, I said Grady Dick has come down to earth in league play, and Dallin quickly texted me his stat line, Grady Dick's stat line from today, and evidently Grady Dick had himself a hell of a game. So Dallin Cuff quick to rub it in as well.
That's what friends are for. Oklahoma State just 3 of 16 from beyond the arc, have not been to the free throw line in this first half. But once they shoot the ball inside the arc, they're 7 of 11.
Dominating Baylor in the paint offensively.
Three minutes to go in this first half from Waco. Baylor scored the game's first 13 points. Oklahoma State cut it back down to 2. Baylor cut it, or sent it back up to 15. Anderson's drive knocked away. Smith out. 3 to shoot. A Harris 3 barely grazes the iron and is run down by Caleb Lohner. Bryce Thompson and Caleb Boone have been on the bench for a while with 2 fouls for Oklahoma State. Flagler over the top. Nice pass. And the lay-in by Josh Anjanwuna.
Those guards draw so much attention. They can create so much confusion because they're good with the ball and they can shoot. Nice run to the front of the rim by the freshman.
Avery Anderson 3, a little bit long.
You bail out Baylor's defense on shots like that. Long threes from a guy who's only shooting 18% from there on the year, and it's early in the shot clock.
Love's pass deflected. Lohner able to get it down low. John Wuna had it knocked away from behind by Newton. Out of bounds, but remaining with Baylor. So only 0.4 of a second on the shot clock. So Baylor has to, it does allow them to catch and shoot, but they've got to be very quick. Well, that's, he didn't know that there was only a half second left. He was going to start a dribble. Love, and that's a turnover. That's their 7th. Scott Drew, a little friendly reminder. Hey, got to keep an eye on that shot clock. Asbury around it out, and Lohner able to tip the rebound to himself. Cryer passes up the 3, started to drive, lost it, a loose ball grabbed by Anderson. He has it knocked away as he fell down. Lohner skips it to the corner, the 3 from Cryer. And I think Oklahoma State thought there should have been a foul called when Anderson was tripped up to lose possession.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell whether it was Lohner who tripped him or his teammate. It's a killer, though, because you have a turnover.
And then it looked like, did Lohner kind of throw an arm there? I didn't see enough of it to call it a punch. Well, that's why our officiating crew, Keith Kimball, Brett Smith, Javier Walker, going to take another look here. So watch right underneath the basket as the Cryer 3 goes through. Asbury gives a push, and then a swing by Lohner that did not connect. And that's what the baseline official, Javier Walker, saw, and you saw him motion for a foul. What did you see there, Chris?
Well, I saw Asbury come down and crack Lohner. And then Lohner reacted. Now, I don't know if Lohner was swinging to connect with Asbury or he was swinging at the ball. You know, the ball was kind of in that area. So it's hard to know what was going through Lohner's head. But watch, as Asbury comes down, he cracks Lohner right here. And that's arguably a foul. And then the ball's there, and it looks like Lohner is, I think he connects with the ball, and Asbury thinks he's trying to connect with his face, and that's what I see there.
It looked like Lohner did make contact with the ball and deflected it away.
I agree.
So because of that fact, to me, even if he intended to take a swing,
listen,
at Asbury, there's not enough evidence to convict because he has a good alibi there with the basketball.
The lesson here, Mark, is you have to call the first foul. Yeah. If you call that foul on Asbury when he cracks into Lohner, then you avoid the aftermath.
Keith Kimball explaining the results of this to Scott Drew. Brett Smith picks up the basketball, and they're going to call a double foul. So they are going to call Asbury for a foul. Here comes Keith Kimball. So as it turns out, they do call a foul on Asbury after the fact, after the replay. Do you agree with the decision there? The double foul?
Yeah. There's nothing to argue with there. I've made my points. Yeah. Tell you what, this is a big possession. I mean, you've got to get something here going in, because going in with this differential into halftime on the road is tough.
The foul underneath. Anderson's shot wasn't going to get close to the rim as John Wuna batted away, but Flagler underneath the basket picked up his second.
You know, Baylor by far leads the Big 12 in three-point attempts this year. Oklahoma State in this first half has taken 4 more than Baylor. If you're Mike Boynton, the first thing is we have got to drive the basketball. We've got to get it up on the rim from the paint. We've got to make this a game on the glass. This has got to be an inside fight. They are not going to beat Baylor in a three-point shooting contest. And by the way, they're also getting killed at the foul line. They're now -8 at the foul line.
These are the first free throws of the half for OSU, and Anderson missed both. By the way, Anjan Wuna is the one who did get called for that foul. And the drought continuing for OSU. What a 5-second difference, shot clock and game clock. Shot clock's going to expire. It does, as Asbury was chasing the ball. And in a way, a bit of a break for Baylor at that point, that it was a shot clock violation, because Oklahoma State was going to have a chance to pick up the ball and maybe score undefended before the half ended. The buzzer off the mark from Chris Harris. And it's a 16-point lead for Baylor here at the intermission in Waco. 39-23 Bears. They got off to a great start. 13-0 lead to start this game. And Baylor with the lead at the half after hitting 8 threes. Let's send it to the studio. Time for Dallin Cuff and John Crispin. Fellas. Well, getting ready for the start of the second half. Baylor leads it by 16. Great to have you with us along with Chris Patola. I'm Mark Neely. I'm going to quote former NFL coach, the late Dennis Green, when he famously said, "They are who we thought they were." Baylor is who we thought they were. 8 of their 11 made shots in the first half were threes.
And Oklahoma State let them off the hook. Yeah, I mean, that's the game. Like, they are plus 15 from the three-point line. And to your point, Mark, you knew that coming in. I mean, they are a volume three-point shooting team. Almost half their shots in the year are from that three-point line. And look, some of these are tough off-the-bounce shots, but some of these are wide open. I mean, Deontay George got a wide open one. LJ Cryer. There's got to be a greater sense of urgency. And then conversely, Oklahoma State was volume heavy with threes of their own. And it's not what they do. 3 of 20 for Oklahoma State from that line. They've got to make this much more of an inside fight.
Baylor's ball to start the second half for Oklahoma State. Caleb Boone, who's coming off a career-high 23 points Tuesday at K-State. No field goal attempts, 2 fouls in 6.5 minutes. And Bryce Thompson, no points, 0 for 2 from the field. He had 2 fouls in 9 minutes, so they're back on the floor to start the second half. George feeds Stamba. Boone dribbled it on the baseline.
And if you're Scott Drew, you're up 16, and Keontae George, your leading scorer in conference play, is 1 of 4. You know, really didn't get going in that first half.
And he's coming off a career-high 32 points on Wednesday in Morgantown, and just 3 points, 1 of 4 from the field, hitting a 3. LJ Cryer's now hit 5 threes in this game. And now they tell us it was a 2-point shot.
Regardless, it was a heck of a shot.
That pass is wide and turned over by the Pokes.
And the best part of this was Scott Drew knew it. Heck of a shot. Throws it up at the end of a clock. And Scott Drew gave him a little pat on the rear end. Attaboy.
Cryer in Fuego today. 3 or no 3 there. Flagler, a little fadeaway. Tipped around. Asbury will pick it up off the deck. Oklahoma State went scoreless the last 4+ minutes of the first half. Get it to Boone. He's fouled.
And not having Boone on the floor in the first half, you lose that element. They can throw it to him on the block. He is a much better low block scorer than he has ever been at any point in his career. Not having that takes an element out of your offense.
This for a team already without Moussa Cisse for a third straight game with a high left ankle sprain. Out of dribbling from Anderson. We get to 10 on the shot clock. Thompson, long two. There's his first basket of the game. And Thompson, after playing only 9 minutes of the first half with 2 fouls, breaks the scoring drought. Missed by George, and a one and done there for the Bears. Threading the pass, Smith contorted, couldn't connect underneath the basket though. Blind pass, Bridges. Nice. What a feed from L.J. Cryer.
Little give and go. You learn that in Pee Wee basketball. Give it up to get it back.
3, Thompson, short. Long rebound to Cryer. L.J. almost had it punched out from behind. Gets it off in time to Flagler, and Thamba finishes the play with a layup. Lead at 20, largest of the game for Baylor. Oklahoma State needs to regroup with a timeout.
Baylor 8 threes in the first half. Now they're attacking the rim. Nice little drop off here. Good fill of the lane there.
20-point lead here early in the second half for the Baylor Bears. Jonathan Chachua, 11 months removed from tearing his ACL. The rehab is going very well. He was one of 3 players that were named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year last year, including Moussa Cisse, who's also not playing in this game. Gabe Osabuono of West Virginia was the 3rd. But really the best defender for Baylor this year is a guy who's been on their bench all season, injured.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, the big difference is they don't have that alpha dog defensively that they had, with Davion Mitchell or Mark Vidal. The guy who was supposed to be that was that guy, and to not have him is big.
Boone, a nice block, and the other way, Thompson able to recollect it and lay it in.
I mean, that Baylor team defensively that won a national title was as good a defense as we've seen in a decade. I mean, they imposed their will on you.
Thamba, it rolls off, cleans up his own miss, and finishes the second time. Some teams claim a defensive first mentality, but don't live up to that. That national title team for Baylor certainly did.
Yeah.
They were legit. Off the mark, air ball from Asbury. Flagler sends it to Bridges in the corner. Asbury looking for Boone, who's all tangled up there with Bridges. Here comes the help defense from George. They're going to get one of the two there for a foul. They're going to call it on Bridges. Timeout. And a 20-point game in Waco.
Big news. Right now at Spectrum Mobile, Unlimited is just $29.99 a month. And write this down. Your next line is free. This will be on the pop quiz. Questions?
That's not on the quiz.
Should be.
No.
You, sir.
He picks up 2 before he's pushed out of bounds.
Or to rephrase it, you get nationwide 5G for just $29.99, and your next line is free. What I'm saying is, Spectrum Mobile's coming at you with a big old $29.99 a month, and your next line is free. Over. Can I do the thing with the...
No.
Or you could say you get reliable coast-to-coast coverage for only $29.99. Your next line is free. Or you could say you get unlimited for $29.99. And I hope you guys are writing this down. You get reliable coast-to-coast coverage for only $20.
Part of this Martin Luther King Week, we salute those that break barriers. And for each program, L.C. Gordon was the first black player in the history of Oklahoma State basketball, recruited by Coach Iba back in 1957, graduated from OSU in 1961, went on to coach basketball at the high school and collegiate level. L.C. Gordon, the first black player in Oklahoma State history. And for Baylor, Tommy Bowman was the first black scholarship athlete at Baylor University. In 1966, native of Athens, Texas, was two-time first-team All-Southwest Conference and 24 double-doubles in his career, inducted into the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame in 2018. Tommy Bowman, the first black scholarship student athlete at Baylor University.
Yeah, incredible.
Bridges. Coming in late, Newton commits the foul, and Josh Anjanwuma slow getting up.
And Mike Boynton trying to extend some pressure here. Try to get some cheap stuff. A nice play down back, and that was a hard foul.
Hard enough that they are going to go to the monitor to see if there's a flagrant foul that needs to be assessed.
The previous play is under review. All plays under review this season are brought to you by Green Eye Associates, the official optometrist.
Keith Kimball to the monitor, and what do you see here?
Yeah, I think it's a good play on the ball.
Nothing flagrant there.
Yep. I like how the arena here has the reviews sponsored. We have so many of them now in college basketball that Baylor said, let's try to make some money off of this.
Why not?
Respect the hustle. I mean, that is, look, that is overdoing it, frankly, to review that. I mean, the landing, I think, was, it certainly made it seem like it was a harder play, and it was obviously trying to make a play on the basketball.
Keith Kimball explaining that it's just a common foul. It is not a flagrant foul. The replay certainly seems to back that up. John Anjanwuma, one of the freshman class here for Scott Drew, at the free throw line for the first time today. This is a young player that they are really watching closely as he continues to improve in his true freshman year. High expectations for him.
Yeah, very high. He's going to be a good player. We talk about how it's hard to play in this league as a freshman. I think it's harder to play on the interior in this league as a freshman.
Look to double Boone. Passes for Harris. Trying to reverse to the other side. Newton and Bridges from the backside got a piece of him. Number 2 on Jalen.
You know, it's too bad that Moussa Cisse ends up getting hurt in that West Virginia game, because I think he was really starting to, you know, become a national name. You know, the job he does on the glass, the shot blocking prowess, the impact he has on their offense. He was a real key piece for them, and they started to play really well around him. It's just a massive loss.
Coach Boynton told us before the game that hopefully Wednesday in the Bedlam game against Oklahoma, they'll see. Just joining us, Baylor scored the first 13 points of the game. Oklahoma State was able to get it back to a 2-point game.
Nice.
Caleb Lohner on the flush. Anderson the other way. And Tyreek Smith responds with a flush of his own. Friars had a big game from beyond the arc. Getting 4 of 5. This is George with 4 to shoot, and that's a 3. He can make some contested shots now.
Yeah, and his shot selection is much better now than it was to start the year. I think he's allowing the game to come to him more.
3-point opportunity here for Anderson.
Nice job here identifying the defense. This is a really good pass. And then playing behind the defense, you saw Caleb Lohner point to the rim. Really nice pass and finish, and then good finish by Avery Anderson down the lane. I mean, that's his game. He's got to play downhill. He's not shot it well, hasn't shot it well in this game. Still hasn't made a 3 in Big 12 play.
Double-figure scoring now for Avery Anderson, 11 points. So he has 994, by the way, in his career. So Avery's getting close to that 1,000 career scoring mark. Flagler. You were saying about
he's going to be good. He'll be all right.
Newton kick to the corner and commits an offensive foul.
6'10", 230. And just really good at playing off, and then you can't teach this, Mark. That's a gift from the basketball gods right there.
Can't read a textbook and then just take that onto the floor and make it happen? No?
No, and you can't take, Scott Drew, you can't take credit for that. You can't teach that. You know, the one thing with Keontae George, too, he goes for 32 in that game against West Virginia, and he shows maturity today, because a lot of freshmen off a game like that are like, I got to get this thing going quickly. I got to put up 30 again. And he hasn't done that. I mean, he's been quiet today, but part of it is he really hasn't forced anything. Shows a lot of maturity.
George was the number 3 overall recruit in the class of 2022, highest ranked recruit in school history at Baylor. A fadeaway Cryer was short, but Lohner fouled. Keith Kimball's going to count that as a goaltend. Watching it in real time, I'm not sure if I agree with the goaltend call, but we'll nonetheless have Lohner at the line.
You know, the thing with Keontae George, too, Mark, he's the best pro prospect in this league. I mean, he's the player in this league, a league of terrific players, obviously. He's got the highest ceiling. I mean, he's really talented.
You look at the NBA prospective draft boards, first round, the next draft, and you usually find him in where he may be a lottery pick or late first round. At the latest, some will have him right now, is right. And hit that 3. George, about a spin move. Cryer stripped by Asbury, but staying with the Bears. 6 points tonight, but as you said, he's let the game come to him and has contributed in other ways.
Well, and the thing he's doing, in the last 3 games, he's taking over 12 free throws a game. He shot 16 free throws in that K-State game. So it's not just, and again, he's second in the league in threes taken and threes made. But he's figured out, again, his shot selection's better. So he's driving it, he's finding his opportunities, and he's really unselfish.
The 5th McDonald's All-American in school history at Baylor as well. Coming out of IMG Academy in Florida. Also, though, spent time at Louisville, Texas High School, just north of Dallas. John Woona. Smith knocks it out. He gets it back. Josh Turns, shoots and scores.
That's a freshman who doesn't know what he doesn't know, and it's also we're up 25. Is that the math on that?
That's good math. With 12 minutes to go, Thompson floater scores.
Bryce Thompson.
Baylor today, 20 of 41, so they're close to 50% from the field after hitting 8 of 11 of their shots being three-pointers in the first half, starting to do a little bit more inside the arc here in the second half. It's a Flagler. Give to Love. He'll shoot it from the left elbow. As the shot clock expired, it's out of bounds to Oklahoma State, and we come to a timeout.
Keontae George, if you don't know, now you know. Oh, this freshman. I was told freshman. I didn't know we were going Ojan Luna to break. All right, my man, he's wet.
Sunflower Showdown. This is going to be crazy in Manhattan. Jalen Wilson, number 2 Kansas, taking on Keontae Johnson, number 11 K-State at 7 Eastern. Then Oscar Tshiebwe and Kentucky host Georgia from Rupp. Both games on ESPN and the app. Should be great ones. By the way, KU, the lone unbeaten in conference play now in the Big 12. Grady Dick leading KU with 21 points at 5 threes. Take a look at the preseason favorites. It was Baylor picked in the Big 12. You see the others, and really UCLA is the only one that's making the coaches, because the coaches are normally the ones that vote on the preseason poll. Kentucky, Indiana, Baylor, North Carolina not...
What are you implying? The coaches don't know what they're voting for?
I was going to let you imply that, but perhaps. Well, Baylor, their last 2 home games, losses by a total of 3 points. That says it all right there. This is a team that, yeah, they're 1-3 in conference play coming in, but it could easily be the inverse of that, 3-1.
Well, they were up 17 on TCU. So, I mean, you know, part of that is you can't blow a 17-point.
Folks, welcome into the Bristol studios. Alongside John Crispin, I'm Dallin Cuff. Technical difficulties and power outage, I should say, in Waco right now, so the game is paused. 59-36. Baylor is up with 11 minutes to play. Let's get you caught up around the country in ACC play. That is a live look at Waco right now.
That's crazy.
Power outage there. 23-point lead for the hometown Bears right now, and they have dominated this game really from tip to finish, jumping out to a 10-0 advantage.
The funniest thing about it was our halftime. I was saying, hey, what they've been able to do, they can get leads, but they haven't been able to sustain them. Look what they're doing.
They pulled quite away. They were up 16 at the break. They're up more than that now. I can't do math, so I'm not even going to try to figure out the numbers. Yeah.
Remember that?
Back to Waco, Texas, where we're going to try something unusual in network television, and that is using a cell phone to bring you the remainder of this game. We appreciate your patience through our technical difficulties, which all stem from a power outage here at the Farrell Center in Waco with about 11 minutes to go in this second half. After about a 20-minute delay, the game has restarted, as you have seen. Mark Neely along with Chris Patola, but I guess the appropriate graphic lights-out offense has been for the Baylor Bears today.
It sure has. You know, it started from the jump. I mean, their three-point shooting, they really shared the ball today, Mark. You saw from that stat line, 17 assists on the day. I mean, and this is against a defense that has been one of the best in the Big 12 in Oklahoma State. Well, this has been a game that Baylor really dominated throughout. They scored the first 13 points of the game, and even though Oklahoma State was able to trim it to a 2-point lead, that's as close as they have gotten all day. You know, with Keontae George at the line, this ironically is what was going on when the lights went out. He had just attempted a free throw, and the ball was in the air when the lights went out. He misses the free throw here, and it goes back over to Oklahoma State. Strange days indeed, at least a strange evening now here in Waco as we try to charter some new territory. This is a new one for me, Mark, no doubt about it. This will be the opportune time for you to break out your play-by-play if you want at this point. There's a scrum on the floor. Possession arrow. Give it to Oklahoma State. So you're going to see us on camera here. So this is how we're doing the game. Our headsets are here just so we can hear each other. And we're passing the mic, so now it's Chris's turn. Oh, thank you for finally allowing me to talk, Mark. You've dominated the cell phone during this production. And I don't want this to take away from the job Baylor's done today. I mean, this is, you know, what a debacle and the power. It's a good thing they're getting a new arena. I mean, my goodness. Yeah, and a year from now, they hope to be in the new pavilion over on the Brazos River. In fact, when we get a moment, we can show you what construction looks like earlier today as Newton knocks down a three for the Cowboys. As we go under 6 minutes to play. Friars had the big day from beyond the three-point line. John Woon has had some good spots as well. The other freshman, George, has his shot blocked by Asbury. Gets it back, winds up short with the shot. It's a three from Newton. A lot of missed threes for the Cowboys today. When you're at a point where, I mean, that's the kind of shots you're going to take down 21, but they were taking those shots and this thing was close. I mean, I thought shot selection early in this game, Mark, really, you know, besides Baylor shooting and making perimeter shots, I thought shot selection really put Oklahoma State behind. Well, the Foster Pavilion is going up, and these photographs are from earlier today. You can see McLean Stadium in the background. That's the football stadium across the river, and it's going up. They'll have it actually ready for conference play, Big 12 conference play, next January. That's the best-case scenario. Yeah, that photo there taken by you on our way over to the game. I almost ran my rental car right in the back. It just stopped suddenly to take it. You know, it's interesting, Mark. I was in the Moody Center the other night. Gorgeous, beautiful. The investment, you know, obviously this league has been the best in college basketball, not just this season, but over the last, you know, several seasons. The investment now that some of these schools are making in facilities like these new arenas is fabulous. Wagler knocks down the free throw. If you had told me when I woke up this morning that some photographs I've taken will be used on the telecast and that we will do parts of the telecast through a cell phone, I would have said, what dystopia did we just accidentally transport ourselves into? Yeah, I didn't see this one coming. But, hey, as the motto of our company is, we are bringing you sports wherever, whenever, and however we have to. Living up to the motto. We're under 5 minutes to play after about a 20-minute delay due to a power outage here at the Farrell Center in Waco. This is a three right side that's up and long. Missed by Williams. Well, let's talk bigger picture here. What's Oklahoma State going to take away from this today? They were not the defensive team that they've been all season. Remember, and this was with Bruce Cisse, obviously, they were up 15 in Allen Fieldhouse early in league play and to open league play. And, obviously lost that game. And it's just, they've got to have a defensive DNA because, as we know, they're not the most skilled team offensively. They don't shoot it well from the perimeter. Turnovers have been a real issue. They're not going to hang their hat on the offensive side. The concern today is, and you pointed this out earlier, you knew coming in, Baylor takes and makes threes. And it's got to start with running them off the line, and they just didn't do that early in this game. Take us to break, Chris. We're going to break on a cell phone. This is the first. Folks, don't go anywhere. This gets better. This exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. Well, the lights went out at the Farrell Center here in Waco with 11 minutes to play here in the second half when Keontae George went to the foul line to shoot a free throw. Ironically, he's at the line again, and he knocks down the first. So here, as you see, when the lights went out on the left. And total blackness is an accurate description of what you just saw there, because that's what happened. He misses the second one. It's a moment that will live in infamy. Yes, it will. And in all seriousness, I thought Baylor handled it well. Just for a moment like that, I actually am shocked as many people stayed in the arena as they did through a
minute power outage in a 25-point game. So well handled all around. It's just not ideal.
And he stepped on the sideline going over to Oklahoma State. Well, the early rounds of the 66 Big 12 men's and women's tournaments can be seen Big 12 now on ESPN+. The men start on March 8th from the T-Mobile Center in downtown Kansas City. The women start March 9th at Historic Municipal Auditorium in KC. If you prefer to attend the events, tickets are on sale at big12sports.com/buy tickets. Well, what did we learn about Baylor today, and the fact that when this game is finished, after losing their first three conference games of the season, they're going to be sitting at 2-3?
Yeah. I thought they were better defensively today. You pointed out earlier. I thought on the perimeter especially, nice challenge there by Josh Ozaruna. But I thought they did a nice job defense. Oh, put the phone away. There you go. I'm gonna be sad to see that go. That was thought I was better.
Hopefully that's the only time while you are working on national television somebody will tell you to put the phone away.
I hear it in my house all the time.
All right. The headsets are working again. Where do I look? There we are.
Oh. Who knew?
Who knew is right.
This is how they used to do it back in the day. What were you asking about Baylor?
The Baylor Bears.
Yeah. I think this is a feel-good win. You get it at home, and again, those threes can be intoxicating. I think what they showed you in the second half is that they kept the foot down defensively. They continued to share the ball.
Cryer.
after a first half of basically knocking down threes, been getting to the rim, and that was nifty right there. Keon Williams losing it. Great defense there by Keontae George to create the turnover. So that's what's ahead for the Bears. You will be in Lubbock on the call for that on ESPNU on Tuesday.
Yeah. Tough place to play. Obviously a defensive DNA with Texas Tech. And how about they get Arkansas in the SEC Big 12 Challenge?
Not getting any favors there, are they? That is a hard matchup. The fortunate thing for Baylor that they're going to get them here in Waco. I know the Hogs have been struggling a little bit in the last few games. That's a really talented basketball team.
Yeah, playing without Nick Smith.
Well, Oklahoma State will hope to have Musa Cisse back. They're back in action on Wednesday in the Bedlam game against OU. That's tipped and good for Caleb Boone. And Boone was restricted to just 6.5 minutes in the first half due to 2 fouls. And really, the same story with Bryce Thompson, who had some foul issues in the first half. 3 from the corner, Love in and out, and a Newton rebound.
You know, even that last play, Keontae George, he's not trying to go for points in a blowout. Like he makes an extra pass, and you get a good look at it.
Oklahoma State will drop to 9-8 overall, 1-4 in conference play. Baylor will improve to 12-5, and as we mentioned, 2-3 in conference. With Kansas now the lone remaining unbeaten in conference play after their very tight win over Iowa State and Lawrence. And Bridges trying to go for the dunk there. His foul with 1:07 to play. Got a great women's basketball matinee doubleheader for you tomorrow on ESPN and the app. Aaliyah Boston, #1 South Carolina. They host Mizzou, 1 Eastern. Then it's the Tobacco Road rivalry between #11 NC State and #22 North Carolina from Old Carmichael Arena. Should be a great afternoon. Women's hoops on ESPN tomorrow. Scott Drew and Baylor are going to get a chance to empty the bench here. Jake Youngkin's going to come into the game. Zach Lovelady. Jordan Turner as well. All of them seeing their first action in quite a while. Turner, the only one that has actually played in conference play at Iowa State of the 3 that just entered the game. Avery Anderson's nearing 1,000 career points. And chance for a 3-point play here for Caleb Boone.
Well, Mike Boynton saying, I'm not going to my bench. I'm keeping these guys out here to live through the end of this.
Well, for those of you that followed us from ESPN2 over here to ESPN News during our 20-minute power outage delay here in Waco, we appreciate your patience, your diligence for coming along with us for what has been a strange and unusual trip on this Saturday in Waco.
Yeah, we should thank them. I heard they heard we were calling the part of the second half here through a phone. Through a phone. They wanted to see what that was like. A lot of complaints about you, Neely.
I know. It's tough. In fact, coming up next here on ESPN News is a 30 for 30. They may have already made a 30 for 30 on our power outage here in Waco. Maybe the last to hear of me. Hey, if we had to go through a power outage, you were the guy I wanted to go through a power outage with.
Likewise.
And our crew. Great job by the crew to get everything put back together. Youngkin with the miss. Asbury. He came off the bench early in this game and kind of got him back in the game when they got within 2, and then went right back the other way. And this crowd that stayed around through the power outage on their feet. Baylor's going to win it 74-58. An unusual one here, Chris, from Waco.
It was. You got to feel good if you've got through. You know, 1-3, desperately needing to get back in that win column, particularly at home, and they did this from the opening tip. This is domination.
Don't forget, Baylor is at Texas Tech, 8 o'clock Central Time on ESPNU. Chris will have that call along with Rich Hollenberg and Oklahoma State into Bedlam. They will host Oklahoma on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, also on ESPNU. Who to thank? Too many people that got us through this one in Baylor in the power outage. For our outstanding crew and Chris Spatola, I'm Mark Neely. Thanks for sharing this one with us. So long from Waco.